Hello, everyone. As promised, here's a screencast on formatting footnotes and formatting your headings. I created a document that I'll send to you as well that has a step-by-step guide on what to do and how to do it. That plus the screencast will help you do it seamlessly. So the first task, the first step that I have you do is format all of the headings first. This may be different than what we talked about, but I've since learned that you have to have all the headings formatted correctly according to the styles in Word. Or down here, when you get to cross-referencing a different part of the document, it doesn't work in auto insertion. So that's the first thing you need to do. So let me show you how to do that. This is what the headings should look like in terms of the numerics you use. Roman numeral 1, A, number 1, I. And you should also consider indenting them as I have done here. So basically, this is manually done in the body of the document. Just a tab in for each, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3 tabs. And so you do that with all of the headings and make sure that they are aligned in the document. So almost all your headings should be done via the styles so that they appear in the table of contents. So here's how we do it. I will just do it here. I'm not going to do it in the document. So you highlight the heading and you open the styles pane, and you'll see here, let's see, heading 1, heading 2. There should be a number of headings here. I'm not sure why it's not appearing. So you'll see the headings appear here too. You can choose it from here, you can choose it from here. But heading Roman numeral 1 is heading 1. A or B or whatever the big uppercase letters are heading 2. This will be heading 3 in your document. This will be heading 4 in your document. So you do this, press heading 1. Notice how it changes the format of the heading, and you can change it back right after. Heading 2, okay, and so on. So then I would go in immediately after I changed the style, and I would turn it back to its normal, actually this was in 16, turn it back into its normal color and font size. So now these are formatted according to styles. When you click on them, you see how this up here, the heading changes. So now if I go to format my table of contents, it will work. And now if I want to refer to some text in the document that's here in a footnote that's later, then I can do that through the automatic cross-referencing, because it will pick up these headings and I can reference this specific heading there. I'll show you that in a moment. So that's what you have to do in your document. So I noticed, for example, in the document, here's, for example, social justice implications. This one, let's take a look at the styles, see if this one is already formatted according to styles. Yes, it is. So this is heading 3. Okay, so you can double check that all your headings are styled. Okay, so that's styles. The next step, step 2, is doing short form sources. There's short form references, short form sources. So for the whole document, you want to do this. This involves going through the document from the beginning and footnote by footnote, changing the repetitious consecutive citations to id and repetitious non-consecutive citations to short form. So here, let's look in the document. See if this is the same. Access. Here we go, Casey Anderson. So this is let's imagine this is 31 is the first citation, the first reference. And this is the same citation. Yes, it is. So this is just going to change to id. That's easy enough. And make sure if you're entering, try not to enter id manually because then you have to go in and underline it. Okay, so that is that's the easy part. The harder part is at the same time as you're going through the document, recognizing when you need to do a supra. Let's see if I can find one. No. I can't find one in here, but when you're referring to another source that's not a case or a statute, because just go back for a second, for a statute and a case, you're just doing the case name, the volume number, the reporter, and the page. For a statute, you're just repeating the statute symbol and the statute number. But you can't really do that for other sources. It becomes more difficult because you don't have a case name to reference, because it's not just repetition of the statutory citation, section. So for this, you rarely do an infra. You're rarely referencing a document in the future that you're going to fully cite there. So every time you see a new source as you're going through the document in the footnotes, ask yourself, has this been cited on previous pages? You'll be surprised how similar some news stories look when they have the same author. So you want to Control F in the footnotes to track the first time you fully cite a source. Sometimes you'll find that you already cited a source in full, so this time it can be a short cite. And sometimes you'll just confirm that the source is a new one that you haven't come across before, and you want it to be a full cite. So if there is an author, use the so if like it's a news story with an author's name, use the author's last name, and you can also use a signal with supra. If the author has written more than one article in your document, you may need to nickname the documents at the end of the full citation, and then use the nickname in the short supra form. So basically, here is an example. This is let's say it's a book. This is the author's name, supra, which is italicized, note 2 at page number. See the comma at page number. It's not proper to do supra note 2 to a previous book and not include the page number here. You have to include the page number. The yellow indicates an automatic cross-reference. Let me show you how to do that in a document, in your document. So let's imagine we're here. We want to reference a brief history of the war on the drug war. Okay. It's a very long citation. Okay. But we want to access the brief history of the drug war. So what we'd have to do here is, since this doesn't have an author, you would need to rename it. Hereinafter, a brief history. Okay, that's at the end of the citation. I think that's at the end of the citation. I'm not sure. There's something going on here. But you're renaming the document because there's no actually author of this. So you need to somehow reference it. So down here, if you want to reference this, a brief history, supra note, and to do the automatic cross-reference, I know it's note 29. If I go up to insert, cross-reference, okay, now this is my table of contents. We don't want the headings, we don't want that. We want the footnotes, and this includes all your footnotes. What did I say, 29? 29, and you click insert, it just inserted it, and close. So supra note 29, and notice how now there's a mouse over. That indicates the automatic cross-reference. Well, there's actually no need to put the at because it's just a web page. But if it was a book, if it was another source with page numbers, you'd have to put the page number. Okay. Now, let's imagine that you're done with this process. You want to update all of the cross-references in the document. And I can't do it here because I don't have other cross-references. So I'll show you that in a moment. Going back to my guide here. So you can also use signals with the supra with a previous source. You can also use parentheticals, so nothing about that changes. Now, sometimes it can be confusing because you have the same author and you have, like this one, George Satan, How to Styx River Navigation, How to Styx River Navigation, first edition, second edition. So to do supra with his name is going to be confusing, so you want to rename it, just like this. Rename it, and then you refer to that one in the short site. Supernote X 6 6 7 6 Supernote 2. So there's that. Okay, so that is your short form. Step 2, your short form sources. Step 3, check your short form sources. Are there long form citations anywhere twice in the document? That's the bottom line. You can rely on Control F to double check that you're not full citing anything more than once. Next step. Step 4, do textual cross-references. So these were supra and infra, mostly supra, for sources. Now you're going to use supra and infra for cross-referencing other pages in your document. And this will add footnotes, and it throws off the cross-references. So be sure that you update all your cross-references after you do this, because it does change the numbering of the footnotes. So you need to do Control F through your document for, I would say, these words: discussed, mentioned, previous, section, part, herein, within, above, below. Those are the common words that people use when they're referencing other parts of the document. You could probably think of more. When you see a reference to another section of the document, you have to drop a footnote. And this is where you use supra or infra. So let's imagine the text said this: as discussed previously, the monster in the shape of water was actually quite handsome. So you would have to drop this footnote. Actually, you know what? I wouldn't put it here. I would put the footnote here. Yeah, I don't know about that. I'm not sure about that. I think I would put it here. I think I was right. So if I'm referring to it within that footnote, in that section that or that page or whatever that I'm referencing in my text, if I'm referencing a specific passage in the text, what I can do is I can write in the footnote supra note cross-reference 1 and accompanying text. So this tells me the specific text accompanying note 1. If I'm internally referencing a specific part or section of the document, I would write, and if this one is inside, then I would write infra part, well, I made this up, 3A. This is automatic cross-referenced at page, and this is page, or pages 1 to 5. You don't always have to have this page number. As long as you have this, you're good. So again, this is auto cross-reference. You do that by going to the cross-reference. So this would not work. This does not work if you haven't already done the headings in styles, because they don't show up in the cross-referencing. So keep that in mind. Okay, so after that, step 5, you're going to create your table of contents. And to do that, go to the document. I'm just going to do it right here because I don't care. Insert, well, I do care, but insert indexes and tables. Okay, from templates, fine. Table of contents, sometimes it's here, so you need to click table of contents. And all of this should be selected, and then OK. All right, do you want to, no. That doesn't normally show up. So this created an auto table of contents. I know because when I mouse over it, there is a little hand. And when you have an auto table of contents, do not change anything inside the auto table of contents. You let Word do the work for you. So if I wanted to change this heading, I needed to reword it or take out Catherine's name, I go to that heading, change it, and then I come back here. I right-click, I press Update Field, Update Entire Table, and it's going to take out Catherine's name here automatically. It will change all the page numbers for you. So this is one of the last, if not the last thing that you do, because pagination changes so easily and quickly. Even with things like changes in punctuation that you could do during proofreading. All right, so that's that. And then I would say step 6, update your auto cross-references. So that would be in the document. Where am I? I can't find it. You go to, you would right-click cross-reference, and then update the field. If you see, when you do that, if you see the word error in your footnotes, it replaces the cross-reference with an error if there's a problem. If you see that, let me know and we'll troubleshoot it. So at your first meeting, I suggest that you get everyone on board with every page at the meeting and that all problems are fixed. The final proofread should be for catching very minor things like missing periods for the read aloud pairs. And if larger issues are coming up, you may need to call off the read alouds and do it all together again. So that's all I have for you. Thanks for listening. I know this was long. Sorry about that. I will talk to you tomorrow. Good luck.